Hey, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Dexter and Tonya here. Want to say good day to you from the Upgraders, Dexter and Tonya Scott.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, so what we want to do is to thank you all so much for hopping on for our short stories that matter, episode 2, right? Episode 2, and this one's going to be really good. So if you guys don't mind, if you hopping on, hey Tammy, hey Michelle, if you can let us know that you hear us clearly, then that would be great. Just give us a yes, yes, I hear you, and then we'll go ahead and get started. Okay, wonderful.
Thank you,
all right,
Tammy.
so yeah, thank you all so much. And please share this Facebook Live. Short stories change the world. We can just think of stories when we grew up, people sharing stories, family members. They did book readings in elementary school, and all the kids would just surround themselves around at the table or whatever to talk about short stories. So we have a very powerful story we want to share with you today. So what we want to do is, if this is your first time watching us on Facebook Live, pop a 1 in the comment section below or to the side of the screen. We want to know that you guys are watching us. So just hit us with a 1 if you're new watching the live now or on playback. And of course, if you've been watching us, we really appreciate you. We thank you for spending a little time with us. And of course, the telephone would ring in the middle of this. Okay, hold on 1 second. Okay, all right, so let's get into the story. You ready?
Yes.
All right, so here we go. Man, this is going to be powerful. If you want somebody to hear a powerful story, go ahead and share this live. And what we wanted to do also is we set this to be only 10 minutes. Yesterday, we realized we could give a lot more content and talk more, but we do value your time. So if you want us to go to 15 minutes, as we're doing this for 8 consecutive, well, not consecutive, but 8 weekdays, we want to know if you guys will want us to go to 15 minutes tops. So if you can let us know that, we really appreciate it. Carrie, you're not new watching us. It's 1 for those who are new watching our lives. Carrie, you're a veteran, man. We appreciate you. So, okay, so let's get started with the story.
Yeah. Look, y'all, I'm texting everyone. It's like the family. Everybody's coming in, FaceTime, and we like to talk to each other. So letting the family know we're about to go live. Or we are live, actually.
Okay, all right, so here we go. You guys pay close attention. This is really good. Okay. In a small Italian town, hundreds of years ago, a small business owner owed a large sum of money to a loan shark. The loan shark was very old, unattractive looking guy that just happened to fancy the business owner's daughter. He decided to offer the businessman a deal that would completely wipe away the debt that was owed to him. However, the catch was that he would only wipe out the debt if he could marry the businessman's daughter. Needless to say, this proposal was met with a look of disgust from the business owner. The loan shark said that he would place 2 pebbles into a bag, 1 white pebble and 1 black pebble. The daughter would then have to reach into the bag and pick out 1 of the pebbles. If the pebble was black, the debt would be wiped away, but the loan shark would then marry the daughter. If the pebble was white, the debt would also be wiped away, but the daughter wouldn't have to marry the loan shark at all. So as they were standing on a pathway full of pebbles in the businessman's garden, the loan shark bent over and picked up 2 pebbles. While he was picking up the pebbles, the daughter noticed something. She noticed that he picked up 2 black pebbles and he placed both into the bag. He then asked the daughter to reach into the bag and pick 1. Now you remember the story. The daughter naturally had 3 choices as to what she could have done. Number 1, refuse to pick a pebble from the bag. Number 2, take both pebbles out of the bag and expose the loan shark for cheating. Number 3, pick a pebble from the bag, fully well knowing that if it was black, and it was going to be black, that she would be sacrificing herself for her father's freedom. So what did she do? She drew out a pebble from the bag And before looking at it, she accidentally dropped it in the midst of all of the other pebbles. So she said to the loan shark, "Oh, how clumsy of me. Never mind. If you look into the bag for the one that is left, you will be able to tell which pebble I picked." The pebble left in the bag was obviously black, and seeing as the loan shark didn't want to be exposed, he had to play along as if the pebble that the daughter dropped was white and clear her father's debt. Wow. What do you guys think about that story? So what's the moral here, Tonya?
Well, the moral in this story, and there's so much that we can talk about, but it's about when you're faced with obstacles and things that come your way, and it brings you to a place of decision, you know, what are the decisions that you make? So although the obstacle is actually there, what we have to learn how to do is to tap into the creative side of our being, of our mind, to come to a place of dissolve, opposed to fleeing, giving up.
Right. And
that's what we get from this story.
Awesome. So I'm going to read the moral of the story for what the story says. It says, it's always possible to overcome a tough situation through out of the box thinking, and not give in to the only options you think you have to pick from. Now this story taps into what Tonya and I talk about a lot, and that's that right brain thinking. The right hemisphere of the brain is the creative hemisphere. That's where we come up with the creative ideas to solve our problems. That's where we come up with the ideas that's the right brain thinking. We step back and we begin to think about, how can I solve this problem? See, the left brain doesn't do that. That's the logical part. So she chose the right brain hemisphere, the right hemisphere of her brain, because she said, very quickly. She thought this very quickly, which was awesome. If I drop the stone among all the other stones, even though the loan shark, he's trying to trick me, but if I drop it real fast, and obviously he wouldn't want to expose himself. Right? So her father was freed of his debt, and she didn't have to marry the loan shark. So I think we're challenged here. I think it's Abraham Lincoln said the thinking that has brought us this far has created some challenges that the same level of thinking can't solve. So we get up to a certain point and we think a certain thing. And then we have to tap into that right hemisphere to begin to think a different thought. So guess what? There are some challenges that you have right now that you think that the only options that you have are options 1, 2, or 3. But guess what? There's another option. Have you gotten quiet and begin to access that right hemisphere of your brain and begin to think? So
let me say this.
Yeah.
And I'm going to read the line again, even to everything that Dexter just said. The daughter naturally, see, Dexter was just describing what the natural part of who we are would have the tendency to do, you know? So it says the daughter naturally had 3 choices as to what she could have done. So the 3 choices naturally, but look at that. Sometimes we can hear 1, 2, 3, and we think that's it. She had 3 natural choices, but she did another one. There was a 4th one that came. So was that not natural? Well, how do you tap into that? What is it that you do? Again, that's that creative side. What we have to do, we have to all come to a place of realizing as we're moving, as we're going, as we're living, our businesses, our families, decisions that we have to make, obstacles that come, the trials, the tribulations, and now you find yourself in a position where it's time to do what? Make a decision. There may be some natural choices that will be just fine. But if those choices aren't the things that you really want to see happen, then what do you need to do? First the natural, right? Then they talk about the spiritual. There's a supernatural side of who we are, just as who we are as spirit beings. And that's that right side thinking. And that's what she tapped into. And sometimes it just takes you to stop. And you have to pause for a minute. And you have to allow things to be clear, and it's clear from your mind so that you can tap into it and be able to identify that very thing that you really want to do in any situation, in that particular situation. And I'm telling you, that stood out to me. Naturally, she had 3 choices, but there still was another one. And maybe there's even another one beyond that. How often do we tap into that? How often do we look for it? Earlier today, Dexter and I were just watching some interviews. You know, we like to listen and just continue to feed ourselves. We're growing every day. But we heard T.D. Jakes in an interview, and he actually talked about, in this interview, he was talking about when you actually take some time to just stare at a thing. He talked about it in 2 perspectives. 1, the word, and then 2, an opportunity, a business deal. Contracts, he was even saying. So here you are. He said you can find yourself where it's up, you're in a place where it's time to make a decision. You're being offered something, you're reading something, you're looking at something, a variety of things. But when you stare at it, when you really look at it, when you're focusing, and he said that will begin to talk back to you. Oh, come on, somebody. Yeah. I know you're hearing me. Can you relate to that?
That's good.
Do you hear me? If I bring something to you now and I want to collaborate with you, and we're talking and we're there and we're engaging in a thing, but we just stop and just look at what we're talking about. I look at what you're presenting to me. You look at what I'm presenting to you. And it's like, and then next thing you know, things begin to come. See, that's that next level. That's that creative side. That's who we are. That's how we tap into it. I'm telling you, it is absolutely powerful. And that's why her father's debt was paid, and she didn't have to marry this man. She didn't have to. I'm not ugly. No, baby, you ain't ugly.
Okay. All right, so look, it's 1:12. We've got 3 minutes left. So I want to just share with you. This is a great story. But this is how we were personally, we thought about it as we were looking at this story. Years ago, I think it was back in 2002, 2003, Tonya and I, we were living on the other side of town, and our finances were tight. We had a lot of money going out of the house, and I was stressed. You know, I don't always tell my wife I was stressed, but I was stressed. So I went outside, and I went for a run. And while I was running, a gentleman, he was trying to start his truck. The truck would not start. And I noticed him as I was running through the neighborhood. I was like, okay, let me go give him a hand. And he said, hey, man, thanks for stopping. He said, can you help me start my car? And I looked inside. It was a 5-speed. So he said, can you help me jump my vehicle? I said, sure. So I got behind, and I pushed from the tailgate as we let it roll a little bit, and we jumped it, and he started it. And he started driving away. He put his hand out the window and said, thanks, man. And that's when it came to me. I was like, wow, there's another option. That's what this story talks about. Here's the option. I said, let's refinance our home and pay off debt, therefore bringing more money back into the house. So this story has a lot of implications that even you deal with. So when we were reading it, we said, wow, man, this is natural implications for all of us. So think about right now, if you have an option, you got 1 minute. If there's something that you're dealing with, get quiet and begin to think. The answer will come to you. God is going to give it to you.
Yes.
Okay.
And let me ask this, because even with that, how many of you want to how is it, and talk to us, how is it that you helping him jump his car? How does it then all of a sudden you like, let me refinance my house?
Thank you for that. So it's more than one way. Now think about this. Normally when we get in our car, we just start with a key. That's the only way we know to start a car. But in that incident, it was like, wait a minute, we can jump start his car. And it didn't even come to my mind until he said, hey man, let's jump start it. And that's when the answer came. Mm-hmm. So it's just absolutely phenomenal. So look, this is what we want to do. This is episode 2. Guys, the stories get
I want to do another
better.
I want to do another one.
The stories are incredible. We're researching stories, and we're like, oh my God, which one do we share today? So the one tomorrow is going to be even more phenomenal. 8 days of storytelling, short stories, powerful short stories. Someone said, give us 15 minutes. So thank you all for allowing us 15 minutes. I have to end it in just a minute. But we want to give you a free gift. Go to theupgradersgiveaway.com. Somebody type that for me. Theupgradersgiveaway.com. It is an absolutely free 11 steps to success that Tonya and I came up with. We want to give it to you for free just for watching our short story series. So we'll be back tomorrow, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you find value in these stories, please share it. Yes. Share it ahead of time. Share it while we're live. Just share it with people who could get value out of everything that we all love, and that's short stories. So after tomorrow, we'll be back on Monday, and we're going to go all week, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, short stories.
Awesome. And I love it. You're saying share, we can share here and all that. But even just picking up the phone, if you come together and you're talking to friends, let me share a story with you. And you guys talk about that. Talk about, what is it, the moral of the story? What do you get out of the story? What do they get? I'm telling you, when you begin to do things like this and the mind is going and popping and the ideas and the things that begin to come, it will absolutely blow your mind. But what you feel from that, out of that, we like to call them too, like even think tanks, where you're just thinking, and what will actually come and be generated from you having conversations about the very things that we're talking about right now with the people you love and care about. Come on, let's do that with your children.
Yeah.
With your children. Share the story and talk about it.
Share the story. Let's talk. We'll see you tomorrow, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The upgraders, we may not know you,
but we know what's in you.
See you tomorrow. Bye.